I'm Jake, 27, and if I've learned anything in the last year, it's that family vacations will teach you everything you need to know about who you are in your family and who you are not. For most of my life, I was the quiet one, the go-to tech helper, the emergency babysitter, and the guy who always picked up the check when it was convenient for everyone else. I never minded, not really. I figured if you love people, you take care of them. But love has limits. Or at least, it should. It started 6 months before the trip. My mom had this idea that the whole extended family should go on a big vacation to celebrate her retirement. She called it the final family fling, like it was some kind of tour poster. My two sisters, their husbands, my uncle, two cousins, my aunt, my mom and dad, 14 people total. 15, if you count me. Which, apparently, they didn't. I remember sitting at the kitchen table with my laptop, spreadsheets open, comparing flight times and prices, checking resort availability. My mom hovered behind me, sipping coffee and talking to me like I was her personal travel agent. She said, "Jake, you're so good at this stuff. Just book it all, and we'll pay you back. Promise." I didn't even blink. I'd heard that before. Still, I went ahead and booked the whole thing under a group package deal I found. Flights, villa, transport. It was expensive, sure, but I figured it'd even out once everyone paid their share. That was my first mistake. The weeks went by. People forgot to send their portions. My older sister, Rachel, said she was waiting for a bonus check to clear. My cousin Liam said he'd Venmo me next week. My dad said he thought my mom was handling it. Only one person actually paid me on time. My Aunt June, who always had a weird sense of guilt anytime I did anything for her. I brushed it off. I always did. The closer we got to the travel date, the more things shifted. Little hints dropped here and there that didn't register at first. Rachel said something odd during dinner one night when I mentioned I was excited to finally take time off. "Well, you'll at least get some rest," she said. I laughed, confused, and asked what she meant. She shrugged and mumbled, "Nothing." 3 days before the flight, my mom called. I was at work. She sounded anxious. "Jake, honey. So, I didn't realize there were only 14 seats on the flight." "What do you mean?" I asked. I think there was a mix-up. We can't find your reservation." I sat there, staring at my monitor like it had betrayed me. "Mom, I booked every single ticket. Myself." "I know, sweetheart. But maybe there was an error. Anyway, it's all full now." "We checked." I didn't respond. I couldn't. The silence on my end must have made her uncomfortable because she added quickly, "You'll get the next one, right? You can fly out a day or two later." No big deal. It was a big deal. I got off the phone without saying much, went home early, and checked the reservation confirmation. All 15 names were listed. Mine included. Same villa, same flight. I scrolled through the details twice, thinking maybe I missed something. Nope. My name was there. They had just removed me. Or lied about it. That night, Rachel texted me a smiling emoji and a simple, "Sorry about the flight. You know how things get." I didn't answer. I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch staring at the ceiling fan, thinking back to every holiday dinner where I sat at the kids' table even into my 20s, every birthday I spent fixing someone's Wi-Fi, every favor I said yes to. I thought about how they all trusted me with thousands of dollars and still thought nothing of leaving me behind. Then the next message came. It was from my Uncle Marty. A single photo. A stunning shot of the Bali villa. Bright blue skies, palm trees swaying, the private pool glistening. And in the background, just barely visible, was a wooden plaque on the door that read, "Jake's room." My room. At the villa I booked. With my name still on it. I zoomed in. Stared at it for a long time. Then the second image loaded. A photo of the printed invoice for the villa, including the note at the bottom, billed to Jake W. My full name, my email, my card. I stared at my phone like it was made of glass and about to shatter. I felt heat rise to my face. Anger, humiliation, something that didn't even have a word. They hadn't just forgotten me. They hadn't made a mistake. They left me behind, used my money, and never even thought I'd notice. And they were smiling through it all, posing by the pool, drinking cocktails in matching linen, captioning their photos with #FamilyGoals. That's when the email came in. The final straw. A digital invoice. Full breakdown. Flights, villa, catering, excursions. My card was still listed as the primary. The charges hadn't even posted fully yet. They were still pending. I closed the email, locked my phone, sat perfectly still in the silence of my apartment. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't even swear. I just breathed. Then, I stood up, walked to my desk, and opened my banking app. I hovered over the transactions like they were landmines. One after another, $6, $500 to the villa, $3,200 in airline charges, $1,400 for transport and welcome package, whatever that meant. All still pending. That meant one thing, reversible. I didn't call my family. I didn't send a text or ask for an explanation. Because deep down, I already knew it. They didn't want me there. They just wanted what I could give them, my organizational skills, my credit card, my silence. So I called the bank. It took less than 10 minutes. I explained there were unauthorized charges on my card, that I was excluded from a booking that was made in my name, that I had evidence, screenshots, emails, photos. I offered to send everything. The woman on the other end didn't need it. She just paused and said, "We'll flag the transactions and begin the reversal process immediately. Your account will be temporarily frozen to prevent further charges." And just like that, I watched it happen. One by one, those massive charges shifted from pending to reversed. My breathing slowed for the first time all day. But not because I felt better, because I knew what was coming next. By noon, the group chat came back to life. It had been silent since they landed. Now it was ringing like a fire alarm. It started with Rachel. "Did something happen with your card?" Then my mom. "Jake? The hotel says the card didn't go through. They're asking for another one." Then Liam chimed in. "Bro, we're literally at the front desk, and they're saying we need to pay the full amount right now or leave." The texts came in rapid fire, one after another. "They're not letting us into the rooms. Can you just call the bank real quick and fix this? They said the reservation's being canceled. What is going on?" And then, a call from my mom. I let it ring. Then another. Rachel. Then Liam. My dad. All of them. I sat in silence while my phone buzzed across the table, vibrating angrily like it was possessed. I watched it, arms crossed, back straight, heart oddly calm. I didn't answer. It wasn't until hours later that the tone of the messages changed. From confusion to desperation. "We're trying to book another hotel, but everything's so expensive here. We used all the money we had for this. We can't afford to rebook. Can't you please just fix this? Please." That last one was from Rachel, the same sister who sent me a smug emoji just the day before. Still, I didn't reply. I opened the group chat, saw over 50 unread messages, and muted the conversation. By evening, my uncle sent a message directly to me. No greeting. No pleasantries. "We're being kicked out. This is on you." That one made me laugh out loud. On me? After all the planning, the bookings, the trust they placed in me just long enough to spend my money? I thought maybe someone would apologize. That maybe one person would say, "We messed up." Not a word. Instead, I got a call from my cousin Olivia, the one who never talked to me unless she needed a ride. "Jake, I don't know what's going on," she said, trying to sound gentle. "But we're all really stressed and we just need to figure this out, okay?" "Oh," I replied, keeping my voice light. "So now I'm part of we again?" There was a pause. "What's that supposed to mean?" I said, "last I checked, we excluded me from the flight I booked, stayed in the villa I paid for, and were sipping margaritas while I sat home. So forgive me if I don't feel like fixing your mess." She got quiet. "Look, I wasn't part of that decision. Neither was I. But I sure paid for it." Then I hung up. The next morning, I woke up to screenshots from Rachel. Apparently, the hotel had processed the cancellation. The entire group had been kicked out of the villa. The new accommodations were nowhere near the beach and came with bunk beds. The airline had refused to rebook the flight under group discount rates. They were going to have to pay full price for new tickets home, if they could even find any. Which they couldn't. Because, surprise, it was peak travel season. The last thing I heard that day was a voicemail from my dad. And not the calm version of him either. The one I remembered from childhood. The voice that boomed when I broke something, even if it wasn't my fault. He said, "You've embarrassed your entire family, Jake. You made your mother cry. You're punishing us for a misunderstanding. Is this really the kind of man you become?" I listened to the whole thing in silence. Then replayed the part about my mom crying. Good. I didn't want revenge at first. I just wanted to be included. I wanted to feel like part of the family for once. Like my presence mattered as much as my money did. But when they showed me exactly how little I mattered, I decided they could feel what that was like, too. That night, I sat down with a glass of wine, looked at all the screenshots, all the photos, all the smug captions, and drafted one email. Just one. To the travel group, to the resort, to the airline, attaching every receipt, every booking confirmation, every name. And that's when things really started falling apart. The email was clinical. No emotion. Just facts, attachments, timelines, and a short, polite request for a full refund due to being excluded from a reservation that was made in my name, paid on my card, and never intended to include me. I didn't even have to embellish. The evidence spoke for itself. The reservation confirmation, the payment receipt, the seating list with my name removed, the villa photo with Jake's room clearly labeled, and most importantly, the airline group itinerary with seat 15 marked canceled. I hit send. Then I leaned back in my chair, stretched, and for the first time in a long time, felt something new, power. By morning, the replies started rolling in. The resort manager responded first, apologizing profusely. They had no idea I hadn't arrived. My name had remained on the primary booking, and when the payment failed, they were legally obligated to reverse the group discount rate and charge full nightly prices to the remaining guests. Since the original payment was made under my account, and I had clearly been excluded, they would be processing a full refund and informing the rest of the group that the amount would need to be settled directly. Translation: they now owed the resort thousands of dollars, with no backup card on file. Next came the airline. A customer service rep confirmed my refund request was being reviewed, but they had already flagged the duplicate cancellation made through a different account, Rachel's, and noted the discrepancy. Since I hadn't authorized the removal of my ticket, the cancellation may be classified as fraudulent. I almost felt bad. Almost. Meanwhile, the family group chat had turned into a slow-motion train wreck. My mom had stopped messaging altogether, retreating into what I could only imagine was a mixture of guilt and passive-aggressive martyrdom. My dad kept repeating that I was overreacting. Rachel had shifted tactics and was now trying to guilt me into fixing the situation. Her messages had turned from frantic to syrupy sweet. "Hey Jakey, can we please talk? I don't know what came over everyone. It was such chaos. This wasn't personal. You know how family is. We make mistakes. But we always forgive each other, right?" I didn't reply. I was too busy answering a call from the resort billing department. Apparently, Rachel had tried to use her card to pay the balance. It bounced. So did my cousin Liam's. My dad's card was expired, and my mom's didn't have a high enough limit. They were out of options. One by one, they tried reaching out again. Olivia offered to cover the cost if I just reversed the refund. That was a lie. She was a 24-year-old aspiring influencer who still lived at home and couldn't even afford her car insurance. My Uncle Marty called me from a local number, probably using the villa receptionist's phone, and left a voicemail that sounded less like a request and more like a warning. "I suggest you think long and hard about what you're doing, Jake. Family doesn't do this to each other." I sat with that sentence for a while. Family doesn't do what, exactly? They don't secretly remove you from a vacation you planned and paid for? They don't let you find out from a text message that you're not wanted? They don't spend your money behind your back and then call you the traitor? Funny how silence becomes a mirror when people talk at you. You realize what they're really afraid of. It's not that you did something wrong. It's that you stopped playing your role. My role, until that week, had been quiet, helpful, bank account with legs. But I was done. It had been 3 days since they landed, and now they were living out of duffel bags in a budget motel 2 hours from the beach. The group photo ops had stopped. The posts dried up. Instead of sunbathing, they were chasing Wi-Fi signals to plead for help. Instead of poolside drinks, they were standing in line at currency exchanges, trying to scrape together enough cash to get home. Rachel sent me one last text the night before their return flight. "You really hurt Mom. She's barely eaten. She keeps asking why you do this to us." I stared at the screen, then typed, "Ask her why you were all smiling when you left me behind." I didn't hit send. Not yet. Because just then, an email pinged in my inbox from the airline. They had finished reviewing my case. And what they offered, that changed everything. The email from the airline was short, but I read it 5 times just to be sure it was real. "Dear Mr. W. After reviewing your documentation and the flight records, we've determined that your ticket was removed from the reservation without your consent. Because the group ticket was booked through your account and charged to your card, and you were removed via a different contact, we are processing a full refund for your portion as well as issuing a travel voucher for future use. In addition, due to policy violations by other members in your group, their group discount has been revoked retroactively. Any outstanding balances must now be settled directly by each individual passenger. Thank you for choosing us. I leaned back and stared at my screen, exhaling a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. They didn't just refund me, they revoked the group discount. That meant my family, who thought they gamed the system by booting me off the flight, now owed the full price of each ticket. And with peak season markups, those tickets were double what they were originally. I could picture them now clustered in a cheap motel room, the smell of stale air conditioning and frustration thick in the air. Phones dying. Credit cards maxed. Bank accounts drained. They had no idea what was happening behind the scenes, but they were about to. I waited until noon. Then I finally typed a message in the family group chat. Not a rant, not a screaming match, just facts. To everyone who's been asking why I did this, I didn't. You did. You removed me from a trip I planned and paid for. You used my name, my money, and my trust. I just made sure I wasn't the one paying for it anymore. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. I muted the chat again and put my phone away. That evening, I went to my favorite Korean barbecue place, just me. No guilt, no obligation. I hadn't realized how tense my shoulders were until I sat down, had a sizzling plate of bulgogi in front of me, and nobody was asking me for favors. It was peaceful. When I got home, I saw that Rachel had sent me a voice memo. I debated listening, but curiosity won. Her voice was strained and on the edge of sobbing. I just don't understand what we're supposed to do, Jake. You know we don't have that kind of money. The airline's demanding payment or they'll cancel the return flight. Mom hasn't stopped crying. Dad's furious. Everyone keeps saying this is your fault. And I keep trying to tell them you're not like this, that you'll come through. Please just call me. We'll fix this. Together. She sniffled at the end, as if waiting for me to feel bad. I didn't. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty for standing up for myself. Because I hadn't done anything wrong. I just stopped letting them get away with it. The next day, I went about my life. Coffee in the morning. Gym. Answered emails. I even booked a solo trip, Thailand in 2 months. I'd always wanted to see the Lantern Festival. And now? Now I had the airline voucher to cover most of it. Funny how karma works when you get out of your own way. It wasn't until that evening that I got the call that made me pause. My Aunt June. She was the only one who'd paid me up front. The only one who never expected me to just handle things. I hadn't heard from her since before the trip. Jake, she said, her voice quiet, I just wanted to say, I'm proud of you. I blinked. Wait, what? You did the right thing. They never appreciated you. Not once. I told your mom this would happen, but she wouldn't listen. None of them would. You've always been the reliable one, and they took that for granted. Maybe now they'll finally learn. I sat there for a moment, caught off guard by the unexpected kindness. Thanks, I said. Really? That means a lot. They're stuck over there until they figure out how to pay the airline, she said. No one wants to lend them the money. Not after what they did. They're humiliated. Rachel's been calling everyone. I nodded to myself. Good. She laughed. Honestly? Yeah, good. A few days later, they finally made it back home. But not without burning more bridges. Turns out, they couldn't afford to pay off the full-cost airline tickets, and the airline canceled their original return flight. So they had to book new tickets at a markup using whatever credit was left on their cards. They split into groups, some flying budget airlines with multiple layovers. My dad and uncle had to borrow money from a distant cousin they hadn't spoken to in years. When they finally got back, their luggage didn't. The group chat was silent. Not one of them spoke to me directly for a week. Then, a Facebook post from Rachel showed up in my feed. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who hurt you most. Lesson learned. Oh, the irony. I didn't comment. I didn't react. But I did make one small update. I went to my bank, closed the credit card I had used for all family-related expenses, and opened a new one, under a different bank, different email, and password. I changed every account, every login, every travel site I had ever let my family use. From that moment on, no one had access to my generosity. They'd have to earn it. Months passed. The holiday season came and went. I didn't attend Thanksgiving. I skipped Christmas dinner. When my mom finally called, her voice was soft, almost rehearsed. I miss you, she said. It hasn't been the same without you. I didn't respond right away. Then I asked, do you miss me? Or do you miss what I used to do for everyone? She was quiet. Then said, can it be both? That answer told me everything I needed to know. So I told her gently, I'm happy now. I've set boundaries. And if that means fewer family dinners, fewer trips, fewer favors, then that's okay. Because at least now, I'm not being used. There was no fight. No dramatic screaming match. Just silence. Then a small, resigned, okay. She hasn't called since. And I don't regret any of it. Because sometimes the real revenge isn't about causing pain. It's about removing yourself from the cycle, walking away, choosing peace, and letting them sit in the wreckage they built without you to clean it up.